Well, hello and welcome to the first edition of Picking the Scene. Brought to you by myself, Orup Sen, and my good friend Richard Garside. Richard,
hello there. Yeah, very well, very well.
So today we're going to try and preview the upcoming tours for this winter. Obviously, we've got a couple starting very shortly. England and India being the first one, followed by Australia and South Africa.
Bangladesh, West Indies starts 13th of November.
But for us, the main topic of conversation is going to be England's tour of India, really. Today, India's squad was finally announced, although they only announced players for the first two tests, which are in Ahmedabad on the 15th of November and then Mumbai a few days later. Richard, what do you think about that?
First couple of tests, always going to set the tone for the series, really. I think, if England can avoid defeat in either of them, they'll be doing alright. But yeah, I mean, England wasn't so long ago, we were number one in the world. So it's going to be a good series. Do
you know, have England got any chance that if England win in India, I know this is sort of perhaps a remote possibility at this point, but would they go back to number one? Do you know this? I don't know.
I think we've got more chance than India of going back to number one.
Yeah, well, I think
that's good enough.
Right, I see.
I'm not sure if we can go back to number one, but that's something to check out.
Yeah, we'll have to have a look at that. But so, what do you think about? So the main debate really with England, it seems, is for the opening slot. There's a bit of competition between Compton and Joe Root.
Yeah, we got Joe Root of Yorkshire, and Nick Compton, I think, is the grandson of
Dennis.
The famous England player Dennis,
Dirty Gooner. Yeah.
If you look at his stats, Compton's 29, Root's only 21. I think Compton has 16 first-class centuries. Root only has 4 first-class centuries. So I think, unless Root did something very special in the warm-ups, I always thought Compton is first in line, really, for that spot.
You've gone on sort of first-class stats there, really, haven't you? Root's a lot younger, isn't he? How old is he?
He's only 21, yeah.
So, 400s at 21, you've got to say that's still pretty good going. And in his defence, Compton picked up a good 50 today, but that has been, the only innings he's really delivered out of 3 on the subcontinent this tour. I think he's got a 0 and then another single-figure score. So, whereas Root, a lot of people have been saying he's actually looked a bit more consistent at the crease. He has seemed a bit more comfortable there. Compton picked up a 50 today, but it was at a snail's pace. Fine, that's completely a defensible kind of strategy, I think, under these circumstances. But it was definitely slow.
I think whoever gets that slot is going to be very important, because the way that England middle order are playing, if the two openers can't keep out that first wicket, life is going to be tough. Life is going to be very tough. And if you look at the history of England openers, really, it's been a strong position for us. You think Strauss and Cook probably together for 5 years, and before that you had Strauss, Trescothick. So really, for a decade, that position has been strong.
Yes,
and even before that, Atherton, Stewart. So whoever gets that place, I think that they're stepping into some big shoes. So good luck for them.
There's going to be a lot of pressure on Alistair Cook as well. He's, but I actually think he's a batsman that's kind of come of age really in the past sort of 12 to 18 months, and he's probably going to be fairly confident about his chances of succeeding on the subcontinent.
Is that Ali Cook?
Ali Cook.
Yeah, he's done it before. Apparently his teammates say that he doesn't even break into a sweat.
No.
Even in 100-degree heat. Just to confirm to people who obviously didn't hear us talking before we started recording this, Arup did just say that he was prepared to drop Sachin Tendulkar. So,
I did. I'm not gonna argue with that.
So anyone out there in India, you can press the dislike button.
Do it. It's because it's my love for the team that makes me, and my love for Sachin that makes me want him to retire like an old warhorse, like into a meadow with sort of nice birds and trees and stuff like that, rather than just play until he dies and gets bowled out by some medium pace bowler from Zimbabwe on a featherbed in Mumbai. It's just going to get ridiculous.
You've got Sachin's best interest.
I have. He knows that more than anyone, I'd imagine. I mean, this is my supposedly quite critical view on him, but I think it's got to that point with Sachin where it's about his senses, it's about his reaction times and things like that. And I wouldn't fancy him facing Stephen Finn and things like that. He's got bowled out a lot recently against good quality fast bowling and against the sort of bowlers that he would have normally have dispatched to all quarters in years gone by. So I think he's always going to be more comfortable against the spin. I think also the spin that England have is quite conventional. It's not really too out of the ordinary. Obviously, Swan can be quite dangerous, I suppose. But I think Tendulkar's got the better of him quite a few times in the past. So I don't think he's really going to be too worried. It is going to be the seamers, I reckon. So I think if Jimmy gets it moving, I mean, and I think it will move in the first two tests. It could be a bit tricky. But
obviously, we're expecting it to be, hot weather over there. So I think the seamers you'll see 4 or 5 over spells, maybe short bursts. But if England have 3 of them, they can rotate them. If Cook can use them wisely, I think that's where we're going to get our wickets from, really.
And also, will they be able to? Will someone be able to master bowling reverse swing? I mean, it's become a bit of a joke.
Well, Tim Bresnan.
Is he going to play? I mean,
Tim Bresnan's been doing that recently. I doubt he will play. This is what's fascinating about this series, because both teams have different strengths. Both teams are going to have to rely on those strengths, and I just think the conditions and the home advantage, that could be the tipping point. I think it's very evenly matched. My prediction in this series, my prediction is 2-1 to India.
I reckon. I still reckon it's a 4-match series. I reckon 2-0. To be honest, I think there might be 2 that go to a draw, and it might be either might be just a complete sort of feather bed in either Calcutta or Mumbai, and I think one of these 2. Well, the first 2 might go for a draw, but I can't see England winning a game.
But just quickly on the Indian bowlers, I was thinking.
Yeah, we've already talked about that, have we?
I mean, I was over there 2006 when England toured, and the second test Chandigarh. I remember India played 3 spinners. They played Chawla, Kumble, and Harbhajan Singh. I mean, is there any chance of that happening? Because to be honest,
I don't think so.
England won't like that.
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
I mean, maybe you could bat Dhoni at 6. I don't know how you'd accommodate that. Do you want to give us your
11 then?
Indian 11.
I'll have to preface it by saying that I'm going to include Tendulkar because I'm not stupid enough to think that
I think that counts as a backtrack.
Well, no, I don't want him to play. Do you know what I mean? I don't want him to play, but I know I'm not stupid enough to think that they won't pick him. Of course, they're going to bloody pick him. Do you know what I mean? You said this earlier. Who's going to not pick him?
No, I wouldn't like to be the man that drops him. Put it that way.
But someone's got to start. Someone just text him or something like that and say, look, just pull out Sachin. But
okay,
he's going to play.
Sehwag Gambhir.
Right, Sehwag Gambhir. I guess Sachin at number 3. Why not? And then I'd put Kohli.
I think he'll be number 4, won't he?
But then what? You'd have Kohli at number 3.
Isn't Pujara at number 3?
But what then? Kohli will come in at number 5.
Yeah,
so I thought
Kohli's usually 5, 6.
First test, I'd want to go for at the bottom Ashwin, Zach, Ishant Sharma, and Umesh Yadav. Even though Ishant Sharma, I still think has got a lot to prove. I think you've got to go for pace on those kind of when there's grass on the pitch and stuff like that. It's just nonsense to go in with too many spinners.
So we're just going to look at one more series just to conclude. It's also coming up. It's the West Indies touring Bangladesh. The first test starts on the 13th of November. And really, I guess the backdrop to this series is, West Indies are world champions.
Yeah.
Obviously in maybe the opposite form of the game, T20, but they're world champions now in what's been the biggest form of cricket, the most popular form of cricket over the last 10 years. And if we just look at the squad, the West Indies have announced, I think maybe just over half of those players
they're
were a
pretty
member
much
of
in that setup, yeah.
So I mean, this is an interesting one. I saw an interview with Otis Gibson. He was saying, West Indies' immediate target is to get into the top 5 of the rankings for Tests, and I think that's entirely. If you look at their
It's achievable.
lineup, I think it's entirely achievable. And I think the most exciting thing for them this series isn't the fact they're T20 champions. It isn't Chris Gale coming back. It's actually they may be going to the subcontinent with a world-class spinner in their squad, and maybe their most dangerous bowler is now a spinner, you could say, and that of course is Son on Orion. So for me that's something in the weaponry that Windies are taking to the subcontinent that they've not had in living memory really. So
no, that's
I
true.
think this should be good, but it will be a test for them. Bangladesh, they'll be looking at Windies as the side that they can beat, and they're looking for scalps. Bangladesh, a win in Test cricket for them is a big event. They need to get the public on their side. Obviously, the public mad about cricket in Bangladesh. So this is another one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, you know me and sort of Bangladeshi cricket. I do. They've got so much talent over there, and I do always think that, but they always disappoint me. It's really irritating. I think
I'm going for 1-1 in that.
Good prediction. I reckon. I'm inclined to agree really and say 1-1 again. I think. I fancy West Indies getting one, but I think you're also right. I think that the Bangladesh could probably get one as well. So I'll go for 1-1 on that one as well, mate. I'm afraid. Yeah. For now, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, and get your predictions out there. Stick your neck out. What do you think? All the Tigers out there, the Bangladeshis. What do you think? Can you pull off? Maybe even win the series.
Yeah.
Are you capable of doing that? West Indies fans.
Windies fans. Yeah, well, the Windies fans.
You're world champions, but is that meaningless in Test cricket? So